reflections back there.
You can see the front of our faces and the
back of our heads.
You get two for one tonight.
I should have gotten a haircut because this is one of the first events I've actually not gotten a haircut before. And so it's like full duck butt back here.
Yeah.
That's what they used to call me at
You
Bye Bye
can't
Baby.
see it though. You really can't.
No,
see it.
but back when I worked at Bye Bye, when my hair would get long, the girls would be like, "What's up with your duck butt?" And I'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Nice.
And then I realized it's because my hair gets very long on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
It grows very fast, and so it curls up like a duck butt. You're welcome. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
It's Friday. We are in Chicago because we're both speaking at the Chicago Baby Show numerous times over the next 2 days.
We're pretty much joined at the hip, except for you're doing your one talk between ours.
Yeah.
But then other than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our panel of experts in the morning, and then our breastfeeding and pumping Q&A later in the day. And in between that, I have to talk about strollers or something. Whatever happens, happens. So we were like, we're gonna be together at this moment for the month. Like, why not do a Facebook Q&A about breastfeeding and pumping? Because this is just what we like to do when we're together. And
always take advantage of the times when we're together.
Always.
Because it's always better.
Yeah. It works so much better than when you have to split a screen.
Not like I'm dissing when we do it separately,
Oh,
then we get to
no,
do it. But
no.
I just saw somebody from Texas. Just wanted to say hi and hope everything's okay with you guys.
Everybody stay safe down there. I've been trying to keep abreast of the news and everything that's going on. So
what's in the cup? I'm drinking coffee.
She's having coffee. I'm having Prosecco I bought at 7-Eleven. I bought it on the walk.
You did?
I did. I bought it at 7-Eleven on the walk
that.
from my hotel. My hotel is like 3 blocks from here. So I stopped by the 7-Eleven to get some Solo cups. And I was like, wait a minute. They have Prosecco. So I bought some Prosecco at the 7-Eleven.
That's kind of my 7-Eleven.
Well, it's much better than a Slurpee. Like, come on now. Even though I do love a Coke Icy. I really do. I love a Coke Icy. That actually sounds delicious right now. So, you know, we're here. And so this is what's fun about tonight. Because this is kind of like an off the hook. This is like a secondary breastfeeding Q&A for the month.
Joe's here
in the bedroom monitoring.
He's always here. He's always
so
here. Thank God.
We
Thank God.
You know, we did our Q&A at the beginning of the month because this is World Breastfeeding Month, and we wanted to start World Breastfeeding Week off with the Q&A. So we did one already. We're like, we're going to be in Chicago anyway, so ta-da, we'll do this. The flip side of this is what we normally, you know, use for props, pumps, bottles, everything
We're in a hotel
is in a exhibit hall across the street. So we don't have any props tonight. We can't show you. We can talk about the pump. We can't show you that pump. Joe can put a link up.
That's true.
But we can't show you anything.
We can talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to answer questions. We have a few questions.
We can be
in
really
here.
descriptive in the way we say things.
I will mime things. I will mime. You've not lived until you've seen me mime about a breast pump, quite frankly. And that sounds, I've never done it.
He will morph himself.
I've never done it.
You'll morph yourself into a pump.
It's going to be embarrassing for everyone involved.
Somebody just asked if we're going to be in Southern California, and we are. We are. The LA Baby Show is in November.
Well, I like to think that's mid-California, though, kind of.
Well,
isn't
LA.
it? Lower mid. It's
LA.
lower mid-California.
Yeah, I guess it's not Southern.
But we have the LA Baby Show, and that's like the 5th or 6th or something of November.
Yeah, beginning of November.
Yeah, so make sure you Google it. It's the LA Baby Show. We are both there doing the same
thing.
dog and pony show we do all the time. And I want to all tell you, make sure you listen to that new Taylor Swift single because I'm really into it. A girl, Laura Dreyfus, who's in Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway, tweeted last night after she heard it, Taylor Swift was just awarded 650 points to the House of Slytherin because of that song. So I thought it was very appropriate. She doesn't get the reference. She's not heard it yet.
I haven't heard
but it's a great song. I'm here for you, Tay-Tay, because Tay-Tay is always here for us. So, you know who I am, whatever. Give a little intro about you, and I'm going to look up some questions for us.
Hi, everyone. I see a bunch of very friendly and familiar faces. So some of you guys follow me over on my page as well, but for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Shari Criso, and I am a registered nurse, a certified nurse midwife, an international board certified lactation consultant. I've been taking care of moms and babies for 27 years. In pretty much every capacity that you can imagine. And my main career was in birthing. I delivered babies. I delivered over 600 babies in my practice. And the last 10 years, I've been focused on breastfeeding and working with Even Flow Feeding, helping them design their amazing advanced double electric hospital grade breast pump. And so we get to do these live Q&As every single month. All sponsored and brought to you by Even Flow Feeding, who are in the chat room. Somebody said, that's how old I am. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Yeah, so maybe I delivered you. I probably could have.
We need hearts for old people. We need hearts to help old people not feel bad right now. The other day, I put a photo up of me I put a face mask on, and it was for old people's skin.
I saw that picture.
And it's a face wash.
I was going to ask you what it is.
It's a great face wash, but you can leave it on, and it hardens like a mask, and then when you wash it off, it acts as an exfoliator.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's great.
Right,
it's a great mask.
I need that.
And I'm sure it's full of parabens and crap, but sometimes I just don't care. There's many things I am paraben-free and live in my life, but...
Anyway. One more thing,
yeah.
I do online courses, and the 2 classes that I have on breastfeeding and pumping are also included with all the Even Flow Feeding pumps. So we created, the team over there is amazing. They're on the chat right now, and we created an amazing product, but we also provide the education that you need, which is part of the chats that we're doing tonight, because you need this information, you need good education. In order to breastfeed, the product is good, but you need to know how to do it, and that's what we've created for you. So.
And there we go. And I've known this one over here for almost a decade.
not 27 years.
Not 27 years. About
10.
8.
Yeah,
about 8 years now.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, what's in my cup? 7-Eleven Prosecco. Mianetti. They sell it at the 7-Eleven here in Chicago. So 7-Eleven, Chicago, I thank you.
Somebody said Shari Khaleesi, mother of dragons.
We have to.
I love that. We were just talking about.
We were just talking about Game of Thrones.
That was probably my best comment tonight.
Because I am brand new. I just started Game of Thrones like 2 weeks ago, I think, and I'm halfway through season 4. We can't talk about the Game of Thrones here. Don't talk about the Game of Thrones. It's not allowed. And someone also asked, if I'm in Chicago right now, why am I not at Lady Gaga? And I will tell you why I'm not at Lady Gaga.
Here? I didn't know.
She's here tonight. Lindsay Pinchuk from Bump Club is going. I did not know there was a Lady Gaga concert tonight.
We would have been there.
Or else I would have been there, because I have a couple connections. And I would have pulled some strings to the best of my ability. But you know what? Whatever.
We saw Britney, though.
We did see Britney.
We saw Britney together.
We saw Brit together.
That was a good night.
It was.
That was a crazy
what
night.
we remember.
what we remember of that night, yeah.
All right. So we have a few questions on here, and then I realized I'm going to have to use a different app because I need to see my own page. So, whatever.
But you can go into Facebook.
Just right
now. And just type
yourself.
It'll be
fine. So Mika, Louise Rosegreen, has a question. I am currently breastfeeding 4-month-old twins. Congratulations.
Congrats.
They were born at 31 weeks, so I give them 3 bottles a day with breast milk and preemie formula to help growth. I have noticed I am not getting as much milk as I had been when pumping. I have to really crank up the speed to get the milk going, which I think is causing my sore nipples. For the most part, I am pumping at the same times daily. Any ideas as to what could be going on? I have gone from getting 6 to 8 ounces down to 3 to 4. They are starting to have longer stretches between feeding, 3 to 4 hours during the day and 5 to 7 hours at night. In parentheses, amazing, I know. It seems like my babes are getting enough when nursing.
Okay, great question.
There's a lot of stuff in here.
Question.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, so take a breath. Everybody, ready? Okay, so here's the thing. Your pump most likely will not get out what your baby is drinking. And when you're nursing twins, it's really important that if you start exclusively pumping and you're getting the pump, using the pump, that you're using your pump to its maximum effectiveness. What I mean by that is a couple things. Make sure that your flanges are fitting properly. Because what happens is you start off with this really great milk supply, and then you start pumping, and as you continue to pump, the supply starts to dwindle because the pump's not extracting all the milk out. Breast milk is made through a process of supply and demand. And so when you're not demanding enough, meaning the pump's not taking out, your body starts to react in a really normal way. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's making less. And so over time, you'll start to decrease. A couple things that can make that happen. One, if your flanges are not fitting properly, they're either too small or too big, you're going to get less milk out. And it's also going to be painful. So make sure your flanges. A lot of people don't know that a pump comes with different flange sizes. That
some pumps.
Well, meaning that they come in different sizes. Most pumps only come with one size included, and for a lot of moms who've never pumped before, they just think that's everybody uses the same size.
Some pumps only make one size,
and some pumps those are even worse. They only make one size, and if you don't fit, it's not going to work. That's one of the things with the even flow feeding pump that we're talking about tonight that we don't have, but we're going to pretend. You're going to mime right now, okay? So the even flow feeding pump actually comes three sizes, okay? And that means that you get to try them out. And that's really important because you can't measure your nipple to be able to figure out which size you need. Most of the time you have to try them to figure out which one. And sometimes you'll need a different size on either side. Or as time progresses, you may need to change sizes. So that could be the first thing. The other thing is that if you're using your pump frequently, and if you're nursing or pumping for twins, your parts need to be replaced frequently. They start to wear out, like the membrane, and that little membrane, that little piece, that little flap can wear out over time. So if you're using your pump a lot and you're starting to lose suction and you feel like you have to keep turning it up, that's not going to make a difference. You need to replace those parts. Last thing, I heard her say that she's increasing the speed all the way to try to get more milk out. You need to know how to use a pump, okay? And so I'm going to see if Joe can actually post a link up here. If you go, did you tag me in this?
I didn't tag you in this yet. We're trying a new tagging method on Facebook. I'm going to tag her when we're done.
So after we're done, Jamie's going to tag me, and then you can go over to my Facebook wall, and it's actually the post that is...
it's at the very top.
It's posted to the top because people are always asking me about this video. It's my 3-stage pumping method, and basically what I'm teaching you is how to use a breast pump. It's not as simple as just turning it on. You don't just turn
it on and crank it up.
No, cranking it up can actually make you produce less. It can actually inhibit the letdowns. And so when you know how to use your pump and you're using it properly, you can stimulate multiple letdowns of milk, and that's what I'm talking about in the video. So for her, I would say, and lastly, going long stretches during the night when you're trying to make enough for twins, although you're like, yeah, that's great, you may want to...
that can be detrimental.
Yeah, it can actually decrease your supply because your prolactin level is highest at night, and when you start sleeping through the night and you're not expressing milk, you can actually decrease your supply for the whole rest of the day. Probably what I would recommend... Hold on.
Joe, you're responding from her personal page, not business.
Okay.
We got this taken care of now.
Both saw it.
We got it under control.
So you are. I don't even know what I'm saying.
It's about the speed and suction. How she's just like cranking up,
sleeping through the night.
Oh, sleeping through the night. Yeah.
Sleeping 7 hours, if you want to keep your supply up, is not the recommendation. I would recommend, even if they're sleeping 7 hours, get up once during that 7 hours. Pump. If you know how to use my method, if you're doing it effectively, it'll take you 15 minutes. You empty the breast and go back to sleep.
I'm so curious now. Facebook has started adding these little bitty icons.
Yeah.
I think that means I could tap that and dial Elise in here.
Are you serious? She would hate you.
Elise, you better watch out. Elise works with the Land of Even Flow. Yeah, I think I actually could. I think I could click her, and then she would pop up in a pop-up window and embarrass her.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, Elise. Don't worry. But I'm just saying. You never know. You never know what I'll do. I'm a wild cannon. Loose cannon. Whatever the phrase is.
Somebody was asking where we're going to be tomorrow. We're going to be flitting around.
Chicago Baby Show all over the place.
No, where in the Chicago Baby Show?
So basically, we have our panel with parental guidance at 11:30, and then I think my baby gear Q&A is at 12:45.
I think you're like 1, 2, 3.
30, and then I have a 2 o'clock. No, we have something after. We have our thing.
We have our Q&A.
I'm going to be honest with you. Chicago Baby Show published the schedule and gave us a completely different one. So we're going by what they put online, and I don't have that memorized. So it kind of bumped it by half an hour all day. So I won't know until I'm there tomorrow. All you have to do to win the pump is just heart this and comment. That's all. We're not asking you for widgets. We're not asking you to follow anything. This is just about the engagement and the conversation.
And if you know the four features, which we go over every single month,
it's a comment.
If you know the four features of what we like,
Write your favorite.
What we love about the breast pump, the even flow pump, and why it's included, why those are the most important features, then go ahead and comment there on one of those four features. I love when people know the answer is, because that means you're listening.
You're paying attention.
You're paying attention.
Or like, what is the favorite thing you have learned from the Q&As?
Yeah.
Be it this one or, a different one we've done. Like, I'm going to speed past that really quick. Okay, I sped past that video because I didn't want it. Oh, God, there it is.
Got it?
Okay, yeah. So now we're going to go to my wall and get a few questions. All right, my girl Carly that just had a baby nugget, she's from the land of Canada, just had a baby nugget. Wondering, any tips to overcome a little baby and a big nipple? I don't think they're that big, but she's so small she can't seem to latch. That's what the LC at the hospital said, although I'm not 100% convinced. And what I would like to say, I'm going to give a shout out to Carly right now, and it's, I'm very happy little nugget is involved. Everything is great. But long before Carly even conceived, she's been following this page because they were trying. I had an emotional come apart on the Periscope when she told me she was finally pregnant. So what I love is she's always been engaged with this, and she's always watched these videos.
So great.
And so the fact that she's like, trying to get her education in, that's what I
love about the fact that we get to do this, because everybody here is posting, that they've learned so much, and we've been doing it for so many years, and whether it's the recorded courses that I teach, or the ones that these Q&As, they're so rich with information.
Yeah.
Actually, I just collected all of our Q&As, so they're going to be in one spot so people can watch them. So it's
I still have to upload everything. I'm so lazy at that.
I'll take care of it for you. I'll give it to you.
All right. So she's not 100% convinced that her nipple's too big for the baby. Been pumping to make sure she gets my milk, but would really love to actually feed my baby properly. So little baby, big nipple. Yeah. Is that really a thing?
It can be a thing. It depends.
Yeah.
It's uncommon, but it can be a thing. And sometimes you will see that with a really small baby. If they're preemie, they can have a small mouth. You can have a large nipple. It can make it hard to latch on. But what I would recommend is that you keep trying every day, because that moment where the baby can actually latch could just be a matter of a day, a week. A few days go by and the baby's continuing to grow. They're growing so rapidly at that point, and and also putting them to breast. So I would do lots and lots of skin to skin. I want to talk about that for a minute. I just did a show. I did so many good breastfeeding related shows, this live streams this month because of Breastfeeding Awareness Month. One of them was on skin to skin. I had another nurse midwife lactation consultant on with me. We had an awesome conversation about skin to skin, but people just don't realize how important skin to skin is when it comes to breastfeeding.
Yep.
Literally putting your baby to your skin, whether it's right after birth or for weeks afterwards, it stimulates the baby to all the instincts in the baby to kick in, to actually latch to the nipple, to breastfeed. It has so many positive impacts on the baby actually latching. If you wrap your baby constantly and the baby's always being held by someone else or being put down, your baby needs to be against your bare skin. And also, Dawn and I talked about this too. It wasn't Dawn. I did a tummy time. It was about having the baby supine, right, on you and to your skin. That will kick in their reflexes to actually root, to actually move their legs, to push towards the breast, to latch to the nipple. Think about baby mammals, baby animals, okay? There's instincts that they're born with to know to get over to the nipple and nurse. Human babies are really not different. It's just that we interfere with the process by not putting them where they need to be.
I'm plugging in my battery one moment.
So in addition to
Sorry
all
about
the
your
other...
face.
What do you mean by that, huh?
Just gotta cover you up.
So, in addition to all the other amazing things about regulating temperature and keeping their blood glucose levels normal, and the microbiome, which we did a whole show, all of those things too, but specifically for breastfeeding, and not just on the first day or the first week, but moving forward too.
There you go.
So yeah, it can be a real thing, the big nipple, small mouth, thing, but it won't last because the baby's going to grow.
Well, that's a great answer. This is a good one. Okay, this has never come up before.
That's
This will
surprising.
be good.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with biting.
That's never
because
come
there
up
is no
before.
answer. There's no answer.
Because that one's never been asked before.
Carrie has a good one. How to breastfeed on the go and maintain a good latch. I don't always have a nursing pillow handy when keeping up with a 2-year-old. So how do you? What are some tips for maintaining a good latch?
There used to be, and she's a really good, you know who I'm talking about.
Patricia.
I just texted with her the other day. We're really good friends. So anyway, there used to be a product on the market, and it was a diaper bag that actually had a built-in nursing pillow. A nursing pillow in it. They don't make it anymore. It's too bad because it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
But what I would recommend to you is take your diaper, because some people do need that solid base. You get used to using a nursing pillow. It's hard to get the baby to stay latched right to the nipple, especially when they're small. You're on the go. Am I going to carry my pillow around with me? What I would say is get a nice solid square diaper bag that you're able to lay a blanket on and put that on your lap and use that on the go. And think about using that type of a bag while you're out. You probably have better recommendations on which bag these days that would work with. But some kind of a solid bag where you can use it as
something with structure, like a backpack would be really good.
Something with structure, but use
messenger bags sometimes can be a little too thin, but like a good backpack or like a thicker messenger bag style.
Totally.
Like
it works. And I used to do that. So like before she made those bags, and that was what I used to use my bag. I'd put it, because I needed that solid base in the beginning. They were those baby hobo bags, right? They were amazing. But you can make one. You can just use your bag. You can take a little pillow, stick it inside there, or you could just put a blanket over it, lay the baby on there, lift up to the breast.
Yeah. There you go.
And you will get better too. Like, you won't always need that pillow. Sometimes in the beginning.
That's it, Christy. Shari, because of you, I persisted, and my 32-week preemie is now almost 5 months, 3 corrected. Is finally latching and breastfeeding. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy, Christy. Awesome. Good job, Mama.
Yeah.
I love that.
We like the feedback.
We love it. I get the most beautiful letters from everybody, and it's just... it makes all of it like real, and understand why we're doing what we're doing, because we're reaching people all over the world. I'm getting people from all over the world, literally Japan, Kenya, like moms. And you know what the best part is, Jamie? Especially in like today's climate, where like everything feels so like agitated in the world, and there's so much going on. To come onto my page and see people from like 2 different parts of the world just supporting each other on breastfeeding, and you're like, okay, this is like the one thing that we all have in common. This is the one thing that unites all of us, no matter what. And
I just hit the wrong button on here, and I almost posted a photo of my face looking horrible on her Facebook. Alyssa, this was posted a minute ago. I am a stomach sleeper, and I desperately miss sleeping on my stomach. Will doing so affect my supply at all? Also, how long does it take for what you ate/drink to affect your breast milk? Every so often I find my daughter upset by gas, but I just can't seem to pinpoint it.
Oh, okay, good. Remind me of the second question, because I'll forget it before we get to it. So let's start with the first question, which is
stomach sleeping affect your supply?
Okay, so what will happen with stomach sleeping for most people, usually when you're breastfeeding, you're not able to do it, but not because of a supply issue. It's because that pressure on the breast can cause plugged ducts. So even side sleeping, if you have an issue with plugged ducts and you're noticing that you keep getting plugs on the sides, notice which side you sleep on, because that pressure of sleeping on that side can create that plug.
So would it be best, if you're a side sleeper, to like rotate as much as you can?
It's better to rotate. It's best to even kind of put a pillow behind your other hip and lean back a little bit, so you're not completely on your side.
So you need like a good body pillow,
like a body pillow, even just a pillow behind you, so that you can kind of roll onto it a little, so you're not completely on your side. Laying on your stomach, look, try it. If you feel comfortable, your breasts get fullest in the night. So during the night is when you feel full. It's really hard to sleep on. I wouldn't have been able to sleep on my stomach when I was nursing. But if you feel like you can do it, fine. Just notice that if you're getting plugged ducts, that's probably the reason.
All right.
What was the second question?
How long does it take for what you ate or drink to affect your breast milk?
Pretty quickly. So one of the things that I always talk about, the number one food that if your baby's gassy, if your baby's reacting and you think it's something that you're eating, most likely it's dairy. People start cutting out the craziest things, like no spicy food. You right?
I have horrible eye bags.
Okay.
That's it. Continue.
It's usually, I don't know how I do this.
I don't let you talk for me.
It's usually dairy that is the problem, and you're cutting out everything else but the thing you need to cut out, which is the milk, the cheese, all the other things that have dairy in it. And dairy, it's quick. Like, it goes into the milk pretty quick. Like, within the next feeding or within 3 hours or so, you're going to notice it in your baby by the next feeding. Usually you'll eat something, and then that night your baby will be screaming if they're actually reacting to the dairy. On the flip side, to get out of your milk, it could take weeks. So it can go in hours, and then it takes weeks to come out. So that if you're trying to test it and you say, okay, maybe it's a dairy, don't eat dairy for a day, and you're like, oh, baby's still screaming, must not have been the dairy. You got to give it a lot of time, because it could take 2 to 3 weeks for it to come out completely. And it's really common. It could be 50% of moms. I think more.
It's just dairy.
Not moms, babies. It's the babies that are reacting. We all have eye bags. You're right, Kristen.
I just like to think the eye bags.
Look at
I mean,
mine.
I smile a lot.
If I go like this,
I've got eye bags because I smile. I'm generally a happy
better
person.
To be happy.
I have a wrinkled forehead and crow's feet and eye bags because I smile. I'm going to leave it at that. It's fine.
I'm not saying anything after the 27-year comment. After the 27-year comment, I'm not saying anything else.
There we go.
I started when I was born.
How long does breast milk last before needing refrigerated? I was on the go today and not sure if I could use it.
Mm-hmm. It depends on where you are. If you're out with the breast milk and it's in a warm temperature, then you just have maybe 2 hours or so. But if it's in a room temperature in your home, you can have up to 6 hours, even 8 hours. So it depends on how hot the room is. It really, the hotter the room, the hotter the environment, the less time you have. But it is pretty stable. So I would say that in the house you can do it for up to 8 hours.
Vanessa Brown, we're just giving you grief. She says, "Sorry, Shari, you look amazing."
Oh, thank you, Vanessa.
We just like to throw shade.
I'm just joking.
Much like Taylor Swift does in her new single, "Look What You Made Me Do." Made me use eye creams. Look what you made me do. I'm getting used to using.
Oh, and Jillian just said, "Never dump. Use for." I love that. Yes. Wait. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So what we were just saying about it not being good, maybe if it's taking too long, or say you had milk that sat out by mistake for too long, you could use it for milk baths. You could put it into the bath. Mm-hmm. You can use it on your skin.
Zips.
Uh-huh.
You can put it in if you have toddlers, you can put it in their cereals, their oatmeals.
Well, not if it's been out.
Oh, sure. You don't want it
right.
Rancid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
don't throw out milk.
No. So now we just have to look for questions on here.
Can you turn the air on?
It was cheap.
Hot.
It just went on and it was hotel loud.
Put this. Oh, it's too loud. Okay.
Hotel loud.
I'll just glisten.
Hotel
here.
loud.
I'm sweating.
On or off?
For a moment.
I'm not used to your phone, so I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try on here to go in. I would never have guessed you've been in the field for 27 years. Look at that.
Thank you.
There we go.
You're making me feel
Vanessa,
good.
You're good tonight. You're good.
I started when I was
5 weeks
5.
to go. What can I do to prepare my body for him? Last time something.
Scroll down.
But it's tricky on here because it goes crazy sometimes. Last time my milk didn't come in great.
How old's the baby?
She's still, not born yet.
Oh, okay.
So what can she do to prepare her body?
Okay. There's not that much you can do to prepare your body for your milk to come in. Let's talk about for a minute how milk comes in, okay? First of all,
placenta detaches.
oh, you see, he listens. He's so good. Listen, he could teach you right here.
I could.
So, there's not much that you can do to make your milk come in faster. That's because when your baby's first born, what you have is colostrum. Regardless, the colostrum's there. What causes the full milk to actually start coming in several days later is that the placenta detaches. When you deliver, you have the baby, then the placenta delivers.
Hormonal shift.
There's a hormone shift. Progesterone goes down because your placenta's like an organ. It's an organ that you grow. I mean, it's an organ that you grow. It produces hormones.
Carly Henry is here. She just logged on. I don't think she's been here the whole time. So hi, Carly.
Yeah. And so that organ, but births, it delivers, whether you have vaginal delivery or you have a C-section, it's coming out. And that immediate release, when you take that placenta out, you have a drastic shift in your hormones. It drastically drops the progesterone. When that happens, it allows prolactin to increase, and then several days later, you get your milk, okay? So it's really hard to change that, but what you can do, here's what can interfere with it, so that if you know what interferes, you can start to prevent that from happening. Your placenta is going to do what it does, but those first few days, even though your baby is only getting colostrum in its small amounts, you want to put the baby to breast frequently. What I recommend is very frequent feedings for short periods of time, like little short feedings, but frequent. That stimulation to the nipple actually is going to create receptors in the breast so that prolactin can actually work on it the right way. You're setting up yourself for months. You know, you're setting yourself up for the future. It's like investing into your future milk bank, okay? By creating those receptor sites, by telling the body at that moment, even though there's not a lot of milk coming out, it's going to help to increase your milk supply later. And many people don't realize this, and so it could be that if you weren't doing enough skin to skin in those early few days, if you weren't latching your baby, if the baby was all wrapped up in a swaddle and you weren't like allowing the baby to keep going to the breast, or you had tons of visitors and there was like long stretches where you weren't putting the baby on, that could interfere with your receptor sites, and then, yes, you may have struggled with supply.
So there are times when my brain completely fries when I do this. I found that very interesting. But I think one of the things, every now and then it will come up in a Q&A about like, I'm very sick, should I still be nursing my child? Yes, you absolutely should if you're sick, because it builds up their antibodies. But what blew my mind one time, I think 2 years ago was the first time I heard this, and you talked about how if a baby is sick, the breast milk actually changes on contact with a sick child to switch and give them the antibodies they need through the breast milk. And my mind exploded. I posted this. So I do these breastfeeding facts and myths. That was my most ever shared viral one that I've ever done. Like, it was reshared, I don't know, several thousand times, because it's an amazing thing. They're still doing research, and when it comes to breastfeeding, there's so many good studies, and then there's so much that we still don't know. But there's some research that suggests that when the baby latches to the breast, there's a vacuum that gets created, and milk, sort of saliva from the baby's mouth, actually backflows into the nipple from the vacuum that's created, and that saliva that gets drawn back into the mother. So there's an exchange in both directions. You're exchanging milk in one direction, the baby's exchanging bacteria back to you, so that your body will kick in to start creating more leukocytes, to start creating more antibodies, so that if your baby's sick, your breasts actually respond to it quickly. And you'll sometimes see this. I want to poll the audience for a minute, because do you guys ever notice that sometimes if you pump, you won't see it if you're breastfeeding, but if you're pumping, do you ever notice that if your baby's been sick, that your milk changed colors? Like, it's actually a different color? Or you pump sometimes and that milk is a different color, like it's more yellow? That's because your body could be creating more leukocytes, and the baby's sick and your body's responding. So Jamie's absolutely right that, it's not just when you're sick you want to make sure you give baby. Somebody just said, for those that want an experiment, take milk that you pump prior to babe getting sick, then after, look, the color is different.
It's totally different. And actually, I'm going to blow your mind even more. Okay, ready? So if you're tandem nursing, so some of you may be nursing a toddler, nursing a newborn, right? And you're nursing a lot on one side with the toddler's sick and the newborn's not, you can be making different milk on each breast. So one breast will be responding to the toddler while the other is responding to the newborn, and you may be creating different milk that way too.
I woke up this morning. That's about all I can do.
Very interesting. I'll find that post because it's crazy good.
Right now.
You're posting it? So good. It's such a good post. Yeah.
That's bananas.
And it's an awesome picture. Oh, I've been working with these photographers. It's amazing. You got to see this picture. You're going to die. It's so good. Mind blown.
5 million people.
5 million people saw that post, Jamie. Hey, Chelsea.
Oh man, when there are long questions, it's hard because you can't actually click.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that.
You can't. Oh God, sorry. Oh no. I almost
Don't touch.
ruined everything. I nursed my baby around the clock and was obviously exhausted all the time. My friend just had a baby and I want her to get some sleep. How soon and how often can she skip the night feedings? And I assume
Let
it's
her
let her
husband
husband
feed the
feed
baby.
a baby with a bottle.
Okay, it's just like we were talking about earlier. Everybody's different. So, I always say don't skip the middle of the night feedings. Here's what I would do. After 6 weeks, don't do this before 6 weeks, but after 6 weeks, your full milk supply is established, the baby's nursing well, you're doing fine. This may be the time where you could start pumping 1 bottle a day, start giving the baby a bottle, and trying to get a little bit more of a stretch of sleep, letting your husband feed the baby. But the feeding I wouldn't skip is that middle of the night, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning feeding. Because again, like we said earlier,
The milk levels.
the prolactin levels are high. And so you don't want to skip. What's going to happen is you're going to try to sleep, your breasts are going to wake you up because you're going to be full. So it's not the best one. What I would do is feed the baby like right after dinner. Go to sleep. Like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you go to sleep and get a nice stretch till like 2 in the morning. And that 11 o'clock at night feeding, let your husband feed the baby at 11. So it's the evening, and you get a stretch from like till 2, and you get a nice long stretch, and this is where you can give the baby some pumped milk in a bottle. It's great for dad too, because he may be working, so it's actually easier to do that last night, last feeding of the night. He's awake, it's good time for dad to bond with the baby. You're getting that go take a bath, go relax, time for yourself and sleep, and then you get up in the middle of the night.
You get to remember your spirit. Take a nice bath.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asking about relactation and can you relactate after weaning and all of that. You absolutely can.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of questions about this recently. Just people who would, for whatever reason, stop breastfeeding. Sometimes just bad advice. Sometimes, soreness, pain, decided not to do it, and then their babies are just not doing well on formula and not responding well to formula, or they just realize they really wanted to breastfeed. Is it possible to go back? What I would say is yes, it's very possible to go back. It's called relactation. You need some help with that. You need to talk to a lactation consultant. You need to start pumping, and you need to start stimulating the breast. The longer you wait from when you were, the longer you wait to do this, the harder it's going to be. So the sooner that you realize, I'd like to do this again, if you can express milk, by hand expression, you can still get milk out, very good chance you will start to be able to stimulate that milk. Relactation is definitely possible. There are supplements that you can take that will help, but the number one thing, you could eat all the cookies in the world, you could drink all the tea in the world, but if you want to get your milk, you're going to need to pump. Supply and demand. You got to drain that breast to make more. And can I say one more thing about that? That's really, really
of
cool.
Course.
This is going to be one of my next breastfeeding facts. Adoptive moms can breastfeed.
Absolutely. I've worked with a lot of adoptive parents who have induced lactation.
Yeah, so there's relactation and then induced lactation, okay? 2 totally different things, but kind of similar.
Yeah.
Okay, induced lactation means that somebody who has never breastfed or has not been breastfeeding to actually stimulate your milk to come in and actually create milk. You may need to take some medication for that. You may need to take herbs for that. You're definitely going to need to pump, and you want to start long ahead of time. So if you're an adoptive mom and you want to breast and you're thinking, well, that's just not possible, I'm adopting, it is possible.
This is a tricky question, and I assume you'll have input. I'll scroll down. My 16-month-old still getting enough nutritionally if he only wants to breastfeed? He is just not into food, 16 months and only weighs 19 and a half pounds. He still nurses every 2 hours, and then it cuts the question off.
I would say it's time to work with someone like Dawn.
Yeah.
That's more of a feeding issue. And
I would contact a speech-language pathologist that specializes in feeding.
Yep. And at that point, your child really does need to eat. We hear this all the time. Dawn and I will talk about, the idea of like that saying that food before one is just for fun. We both don't agree with that.
No. But at one, there should be solids going on.
No, even before one.
Before one, yes.
It's not just for fun.
Yeah.
Okay, what people mean by that is they're saying that the baby can survive on breast milk alone, and it is their number one nutrition that you should be doing. And that's true.
Yeah.
Breast milk should be offered before the meals. Breast milk should not be decreased because you are to replace with solids. We want that breast milk going to the baby for the first year. But it is not just for fun. Babies need to start eating. They need to start trying different textures and swallowing. And then we want them to continue that into their toddler years.
If this is not being built up, if kids are not eating solids, even purees, we're over pureeing kids. It's good to have a mix of purees and like more solid stuff, baby-led weaning-ish. But it's like if they're over pureed, this doesn't get built up, and it can lead to speech issues, sinus problems also, which is crazy because if kids aren't biting, it's not creating the spaces up here properly.
You're meant to do this.
Yeah.
Including like your teeth development, the jaw, the way all of the teeth are formed too, like the spacing of them.
But at one, that's how I've talked with Dawn has brought this up with me. It's like at one, if they are not eating solids, that's when it can be a serious problem issue.
Yeah.
And you need to.
She's saying she can't. She's in Southern Texas, and the heartbeat service is super slow.
Stay safe down there, please, in Texas.
Is there such thing as getting to the fattier milk? Let's talk about that. Somebody just scrolled past fast. I think that's what she said. Is there such thing as getting to the fattier milk?
Yeah.
So what they're referring to
Foreign
is
hind milk.
Why don't you just take it?
You're welcome.
You talk about it. It's okay. I'd love to hear you say.
Nope.
I know you can.
You talk about it.
I know you can.
I'm going to have Prosecco.
Okay. So what you're referring to is the foremilk and the hind milk. And what that means is, can I explain the mechanism of it? Because we talk about foremilk and hind milk. Let's do a little lesson.
This comes up.
Okay. So here's how it works. Okay. When your breast gets really full, so when the breast is fuller, what comes out first is the foremilk. It's more watery. It's lower in fat, lower in calorie. It hydrates the baby. What's behind that, as you start to empty the breast, the milk that's further back, which we call the hind milk, is higher in fat, higher in calories, more like the cream. What happens is fat particles are releasing into the milk. When there's a lot of water, you're not getting that fat coming off the milk duct inside. And so as the milk starts to release and you have more milk, the milk starts to get fattier towards the end of it. If you if you're nursing frequently, so the breast doesn't have time to actually fill often, which is fine if you're nursing a lot, that means that all the milk is going to be fatty. That means it's all hind milk. So when you think of like, oh, did I give my baby the hind milk? Is there enough fat there? You don't really need to think about it unless you're having weight issues with the baby, unless you're having an oversupply issue, you're super engorged, you're switching sides too soon. If your baby's gaining weight properly, I wouldn't even think about it. The only other thing that can cause a problem with too much foremilk is the breast milk has 10 times the amount of lactose in it than cow's milk. It's just really high in lactose. Lactose is milk sugar, and human milk is really, really sweet. For any of you guys who haven't tasted it, go ahead and taste it. It's really sweet. That's because sugar is what feeds our brain, the glucose, and not the lactose in the milk feeds the brain, and human babies have big brains that need to be fed. And so when you're giving the baby a lot of that lactose, which is in breast milk, without the fat, meaning lots of foremilk, lots of watery skim milk with lots of lactose, they sometimes have a hard time digesting the lactose, and that can cause green stool, it can cause gassiness, fussiness, discomfort, and so that can be what's causing it.
Fair enough. I'm just looking for more questions. Looking forward to trying Shari's pumping trick with baby number 4.
It works. Anybody use that method? Use the 3-stage pumping method that I've described? It really works. It's kind of amazing. And when I designed it and when I thought of we need to teach people how to use the pump, is, you look at what a baby does. This is what your baby actually does. Pay attention. When your baby first starts latching and they first start the feeding, they're going to nurse really quickly and gently. This is going to stimulate your nipple, which then sends a signal to your brain to release oxytocin. That's the hormone that causes your milk to let down. Once the milk lets down, the baby slows down, the baby starts to suck longer and harder, and you can hear them swallowing, right? But what happens is after a few minutes of that, they're nursing, they're sucking slowly, and they're drinking, and you can hear it. All of a sudden, they start to suck faster again, but they never release the suction. Mm-hmm. They never go back to that light sucking. They're still sucking hard, but they're just going faster. What they're doing is they're stimulating that letdown again.
Multiple letdowns.
And so your baby instinctually knows how to create this. They know how to get milk from the breast. They just know what to do. If you follow what your baby's doing and try to mimic that with your pump as best as you can, good flange sizing, individual speed, and suction controls. You need that in order to control it yourself. When you know how to do that, you're going to get much more milk. See, you taught me the three-stage pumping method. There you go.
I can't keep listening or my milk is going to let down. Somebody had a question. I'm going to try to remember this because it just scrolled past and it's up there. I think it's a 3-month-old or 4-month-old, 6-month-old, 19 pounds. Hard to hold a heavy baby. Doesn't really fit on a pillow well, though. What is a good position for holding a heavy baby?
2 positions that I love.
Somebody suggested side lying. And she said something, hold on, she did have a response. Side lying does work, but not practical for all day.
Okay, laid back nursing. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah, of course I have.
So you're kind of sitting back like this, and you're laying the baby on top of you. And we talked about it earlier. Having that baby in a supine position actually stimulates all the instincts to latch better. Sometimes I'll have even newborns that, just will not latch in any position. When I lay them on back and I have them lay the baby on top, baby latches. So a heavy baby, this is great for a heavy baby because you're not bearing the weight of the baby. Plus you're going to be able to get a better position or latch to the breast because gravity is going to be pulling them in rather than you trying to hold them in, right? So that's one thing. If you have a big oversupply and the baby's gagging and choking on the milk because you're
3 months and 19 pounds.
It's a big baby. If you have an oversupply, laid back nursing is great too.
Somebody just had a question, and I can tell you the answer to this. Is it possible to nurse with a lip and tongue tie? It is, but it could be hella painful. So
it could be painful, and here's another part of it. It could not be painful. It could not be painful. You could think that's fine. Someone said, "Oh yeah, that's your tongue tied," but if you're not having any pain, don't worry about it. You absolutely have to worry about it because if you have a baby that has a lip or tongue tie, your milk supply might be fine in the beginning. You may not be feeling pain. The milk is pouring, but what you're doing is you are starting to decrease supply, and it can catch up with you several months later where now you don't have enough milk. And that lip and tongue tie, it's not just about breastfeeding. It's where it usually first shows up, but it has other impacts on the baby for the rest of their life. So if you already know your baby has a lip or tongue tie, you need to have that evaluated. And lots of times if it's not pain, other things that will tip you off, it could be clicking, a clicking sound. So they keep losing the latch.
Yeah.
They're losing the latch. It's clicking and clicking and clicking, and that's because the baby just cannot hold the suction because the tongue is what actually creates that vacuum and the suction to the breast. So that's one thing. The other thing is, real gassiness with no explanation. Like baby's super gassy, super fussy, could be what we call aerophagia, which is the baby swallowing lots of air.
I've never heard that term, but okay.
Okay, aerophagia. It's either baby swallowing a lot of air, and that means that that could be from a lip or tongue tie. It's just the way they're not sucking properly at the breast, and so it can go. Lots of babies who are diagnosed with reflux. Get this. A lot of babies diagnosed with reflux that are even medicated for reflux, it's actually lip and tongue tie and aerophagia. So
Really?
yes, they're heavily, overly medicated with Zantac and all these other things because the doctors or the pediatricians are not.
Oh,
they're
that
not
is so
diagnosing them.
interesting.
They're not diagnosing them. They're blaming it on reflux. Then when the reflux medication's not working, they're blaming it on the breast milk. So then they're putting them on formula, and then that seems to fix things because now the baby's not latching to the breast anymore, even though that wasn't the issue to begin with. And here's the other thing. Lip and tongue tie is not a new thing. This has been around for forever, okay? We've known about this forever. In fact, there's studies from like the early 1900s on lip and tongue ties. But the thing was, we used to correct them all the time. So up until around the 1950s, these were always released and they would just fix it. What happened around the 1950s was that they came up with a solution. They actually came up with what they considered a solution to lip and tongue tie. You know what that was? Don't breastfeed. Formula. Formula was the actual solution that now we didn't have to fix lip and tongue ties, and then physicians stopped learning about the importance of correcting it because we had an alternative. And now all we're seeing is what we've always seen.
There we go. That's fascinating right there. Shari said, I'm gonna talk out of this mic.
There you go.
Boom.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was the solution, the big fix, and why we didn't need to teach about how to like correct it or diagnose it properly. And that's why you'll see that they're not diagnosing it. They're not diagnosing it, and sometimes you'll even get diagnosed, and the physician you go to, whoever's fixing it, does not release enough. So then it's like, oh, it wasn't that, or it's something else, and it's just that it's not being released enough. You need to go to someone good.
Yeah. That's super interesting. It's just like so many doctors now like are not trained in like breech births and everything.
Totally.
And, like,
I'm going to be doing a whole panel. So I have one of Scott Siegel did tongue tie with me a couple of months ago.
Was
and
that 2 months ago or something?
more? I think it was like
Holy
June.
crap.
Anyway, I'm going to do a panel, I think in September. We're trying to put it together for September, but all about tongue and lip ties from Scott Siegel, who's like MD, dentist, oral surgeon, top guy in the field, and then also a whole bunch of other experts who are also do all kinds of related work when it comes to tongue and lip ties, because it's not just about releasing it. They need other body work to go along with it as well. So we're going to be doing a whole panel coming up.
Can you have a lip tie on your upper lip? You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most people who have a tongue tie also have a lip tie as well.
Yeah.
And almost always, if you have a lip tie, you have a tongue tie.
And is it genetic?
Yes.
Yeah. This is so interesting.
Yeah, it really is interesting.
We've got about 10 more minutes. So just so all of you know, again, we are giving away an Even Flow breast pump. This is sponsored by Even Flow. I love them. She loves them. It's why we work with them.
Yeah,
We
totally.
love each other. It's why we work with each other. And we do shenanigans like this on a Friday night because why not? So if anybody has a couple last minute questions, I will try to read them on the screen, and we will answer them for you. And then all of you who are here in Chicago and coming to Chicago Baby Show, please come say hi. You don't have to be nervous to say hi to us. We are human beings. So
I want you to come say hi to me.
come say hi.
I love it.
How can you help a 5-month-old take a bottle? My daughter won't take one.
That's hard. When I teach my breastfeeding class, my Simply Breastfeeding class, I talk about, one of the whole chapters is dedicated to introducing your baby early to a bottle. I'm a lactation consultant that believes that babies can do both, that they can breastfeed and they can also bottle feed. And, for most moms, we want to be able to teach our babies how to take a bottle because
We
we'll go
live
back
in
to
a
work.
country where moms have to go back to work.
I mean, we need to be realistic. And what I don't want to do is ever set anyone up where they're struggling to get to the bottle if they need to pump milk and give the baby a bottle. So once your baby's 5 months old, it can be really hard to do. You could try different bottles. You can have someone else try to feed the baby. You can also just wait and start using a cup. At 5 months old, they can really drink from a cup. So if your baby really, really refuses to drink from the bottle, try a cup instead. They'll usually take that over the bottle at that point. But if you're just having your baby or you're pregnant right now and you're thinking about like, when do I introduce my baby to a bottle, you'll hear things that say wait 4 to 6 weeks. For me, that's too long. I would say 50% of babies will reject the bottle at that point if you wait that long. So.
Somebody asked, does palate size affect nursing?
Yeah, well, it can. The arch of the palate, the way the palate is formed, can make it difficult for the baby to latch. Remember that there's all the structures of the mouth are creating that perfect seal onto the breast, and it's the way the tongue moves, it's the way the arch is formed, it's the way all of it is going to make a difference on how you breastfeed.
Let's do a little exercise here. It's what I had to do all the time in like voice classes. Is just so you understand hard palate versus soft palate. Take your tongue to the top of your mouth and go straight back. You will feel where it goes hard and where it goes soft. And if you're far enough back, sometimes you want to gag a little bit, but you go hard, soft, and you will feel about halfway back, that's where it goes to soft. So that ties into latch and breastfeeding, because if baby doesn't get a good latch, that nipple is going to be rubbing up against that hard palate, and it hurts. You don't want that. You want it far back there. You don't want it hard palate, hard. I'm just going to do this because that's awkward. But you don't want it hard palate, hard palate.
And the best way to do that is to hold the baby as close to the breast as possible, because to get that nipple all the way back, like Jamie's describing, which is a good example.
I try my
very good.
Sometimes
very
things
good.
come to me, and I'm like,
so I do
there
this
you
with
go.
you.
Sometimes the acting background comes in
it's awesome.
handy. Damn it!
It was awesome. It was a great demonstration.
Proud of that one.
That was without props. He did the props tonight. You know, like you kind of. So yeah, I mean, you holding your.
Like you have to remember, your baby has to get that far back there.
It's really
but also,
far.
it also solidifies. It's not, the proportions are a little different when they're younger, but you know, you got to get it back there.
Yeah, hold your baby close. You know what I teach in my class is hold the baby close to the breast and angle the head slightly up like this. So when the baby comes to the breast, they're coming like this. They're leading with their bottom jaw. And you know, this whole idea that the baby has to take all of the areola into their mouth, the colored part of your breast around the nipple, that's the areola. I always say that because people don't. Sometimes people describe their areola as their nipple.
As their nipple,
that's
it's not. The
not
nipple's the pointy thing. And I'm gonna get personal here for a moment. I have permanent. My nips. I'll let you touch them. They've always been pokey. They've always been pokey. They're permanent pokey.
I'm not gonna let you touch
and I'm not gonna touch your nipples. I'm not asking. But what I need you to know is, you know the restaurant Ruby Tuesday. So you know how they have that salad bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, where are you going with that?
Trust me, it's going somewhere.
Okay.
A guy I did chorus line with years ago, Steven, and he's actually about to go out on the Love Never Dies tour. If any of you go see that, it's the sequel to the Phantom of the Opera. If you go, have a drink. But we'd be in the dressing room getting ready, and my nickname is Nana, so he'd be like, Nana, what is up with your nipples? They're like the ham bits at the Ruby Tuesday salad bar. So he called me Nana Ham Bits.
I'm gonna pee.
The entire run of that show, he called me Nana. Nana Ham Bits. But we're gonna go back to talking about. I'm turning so red. Sherry's like leaning against the wall trying not to pee right now. So I want to talk to you a little bit while she's leaving the room. So we got to talk about it's breastfeeding, not nipple feeding. The baby's not trying to just take the nipple. They got to take the tissue in here. You got to get the tissue. You got to get the breast tissue in the mouth. Not just the nipple, not just the ham bit. You got to get it all.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. He kills me.
Friday night. Why be at a Gaga concert when you can talk about your ham bit nipples? She should act. She probably has a song about that.
Oh, I can't breathe.
I'm on the edge of ham bits.
That's so funny.
You gotta revise that post.
Oh, we gotta revise the post, the multiple choice.
Oh, ham bits.
That's enough.
I just turned so red, I can't believe it.
That was so funny. Oh my god.
Oh, ham bits.
Yeah, I almost peed just
now. Man.
I didn't pee, but I almost peed.
Government ham bits.
Oh, that was really funny.
You can put ham bits into so many Lady Gaga titles and they actually still work.
we even talking about?
We were the edge of Hambits. Actually, I'm on the edge of nursing, and I'm hanging on a Hambit with you, like whatever. That's. There you go. There you go. Everything just went. There it went.
It just went.
There it went. It's gone.
Oh yeah.
We'll do one more question.
She said even her little one just started smiling. The babies are all laughing.
We'll make all kinds of Hambit jokes. There you go. Game of Thrones. I'm only halfway through season 4, so we don't talk about Game of Thrones on here.
I'm up to date, so I'm just.
We don't talk
keep
about
my
it.
mouth shut.
We don't talk about it.
But I can tell you this last episode, I wanted to shut it off because I was freaking. That's it. Not saying anything else.
I'm not. Okay.
You don't know.
So we're gonna talk. We're gonna take one more question, and then we're gonna log off. And there you go. Nighttime feeding. How to help wean.
I'm done answering questions.
Well, they're.
Sorry.
Everything has gone crazy. Everything. Oh man. Shari, do you ever go to St. Peter's in Jersey? No. She actually asked that a couple times.
The St. Peter's Hospital? No, I don't. I actually don't go to the hospital. But if you're in New Jersey and you actually do want a consultation, if you're anywhere and want a consultation with me, just go to my. You can do it over Skype.
Hambits.com.
You could do Hambits.com. 1-800-HAMBITS. And I will answer. No, but I do Skype consultations, so I do them all the time. Telephone, Skype, and then if you are close and you can actually come to my office, I have a home office that you can call me up and we can schedule something.
Yeah.
So,
and make sure you're following her on the Facebook land and the Instagram.
Yeah.
Just because she is doing Q&As full of information. We only get to do this once, if we're lucky, twice a month.
I'm doing them every week on different topics. I have some really great guests as well. And then we're just about to start our membership where we will be doing weekly Q&As where you can really ask your questions and get them answered with me in a private group. So,
so I think we're out.
That was it. He got me. But that's one that's going to go down in history along with our zipper conversations.
I talked about zippering my scrotum into my pajamas one time, and quite frankly, I sure did.
And it was pretty.
It was not pleasant. It was not pleasant. But that's just how we talk about things here. So, thank you all for hanging out.
Yeah, thank you.
On this Friday night.
So fun.
That
was so fun. I don't get to laugh like this.
I will say we went out with a bang. We went out with a bang. So be good. Make sure you like this. Make sure you comment. We're gonna pick a pump winner. For those of you who will see us this weekend, game on.
Absolutely.
For those of you who we will see in LA, huzzah. Make sure you're following Shari. Make sure you follow Even Flow Feeding. And live your life. Be good. Hug people.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
I hope you all don't dream of Hambits tonight.
No.